All right, here is another project. This is supposedly a caterpillar, but it's not a caterpillar. I don't know. I guess somebody just saw some yellow paint on it and figured, hey, that's a caterpillar. But it is actually a case. It's got a non-turbo 4-cylinder Cummins in it, so that's either going to be a 40, 50, or 60 XT. The 70 XT went up to a turbo, so this is between a 40 and a 60 XT case, wheeled skid steer. It's got airless tires that are wore slap out. I'm thinking about getting a tread maker and cutting treads in it. But I didn't really need another project for sure. But dude called me up and said, hey, you know that skid steer? I said, yeah. He said, if you want it, take it. So I said, what do you mean? And he said, you can have it. So, well, I guess I do need another project because can't really turn down a free skid steer. But give it a little walk around. It is a little bit rough. Like I said, the tires, they need either new tires or tread cut in them, something. Obviously needs some cylinders repacked. It does have a bucket. I gotta go get it. The pins are pretty well wore out. Needs a new seat. It's missing the joystick right there. It is a joystick machine, which is pretty nice, not a hand and foot. It's missing the 4 plate. I'll get some diamond plate and make some new of that, but I don't know what kind of electrical problems it's going to have because they have rigged something up there. It needs, I'm going to get some expanded metal and make some new sides. I guess make some lights there. Like I said, it's a project. I didn't need a project, but here we are. It does have auxiliary hydraulics, or did have. They are crushed and rusted, but at least the valve is there. They're disconnected back here and capped off. It's funny. I was Googling, trying to figure out what kind of caterpillar machine this was, because I could not find one that looked like it. And then I remembered I seen it's got a Cummins in it. It's got a 4-cylinder Cummins. I think it's 4-390 or something is what the motor is. But I remembered seeing one of these on Facebook Marketplace, a case, a skid steer that had a Cummins motor in it. So I was like, I wonder if that's a case. So I started Googling case models, and sure enough, it looks just like a 40 or 60 XT. The 70 XT looks just the same, but it's got a turbo. So that's it. We're gonna hook it to that skid steer and pull it off of there. It does freewheel, so I don't know if there's a valve cracked open, what they got going on, but he said it ran at one point, ran to where he parked it, but there ain't no telling. It's a little rough. But we'll get it in the shop and get into it. All right, we got it in the shop now. I pushed it in here with the skid steer. So we're going to try to get that seat off. I don't know what it's got going on there, but I want to raise this cab up. I see it. It's got hinges right here, and I took this back plate off there, and I'm prying on it here, and it's moving a little bit. Looks like it had bolts in there at one point, but they're no longer in there. But I want to get access to the starter. I want to find the old dipstick wherever it is and check this thing out. I do see one of the belts missing. This fan pulley is completely broken right there. It's a cast iron, I guess, base on it, so I had to get a new one of those. But this is a pretty well-known motor. If it had a turbo, it'd be a 4 BT Cummins, which is actually what I want to put in the Jeep. But it was in a lot of bread trucks, it was in a lot of skid steers and stuff like that, so it won't be no problem to find that there. But the interior of this thing is straight up clapped out. It needs that floor plate, like I said. It's missing a joystick. The seat is non-existent pretty much. But we're gonna get it taken out, get it cleaned up, see if we can't lift this cab and go from there. Alright, that didn't work. A little oversight on me. The cab pivots down here. It goes up like this. So that means that this is going to contact the boom. So the boom actually has to go all the way up to even lift the cab to really get access to the motor. So I'm going to have to figure out some kind of way to lift that boom all the way up with this thing not running, so I can get the cab lifted up and actually get access to the motor. Wish me luck on that one, because I don't know what I'm going to do for that. Alright, there's a bleed valve right here. So I'm going to get that valve cracked. We got a battery in the machine. And then we're going to see if we can get some fuel squirting out of there if the machine turns over good. Alright, bleed screw is open. I'm going to get in the cab and see if this old girl turns over or not. And hopefully it does, and we can get it primed up and get something moving. Because since I got to get that boom lifted all the way up to even lift the cab, I guess I'm just going to try to get it running like it is and then lift it up. Because the throttle linkage just froze up. Just little things like that. I really need to be able to get that cab lifted. So let's see. See if this thing will turn over. Display works. We are showing 5,600 hours. 5688. Alright, I'm gonna turn it over a little bit and see if that lets some fuel come out of it. Maybe. What's going on? Got a bad battery connection. Come on, baby. There it goes. I can see nothing back there, so I'm gonna go for. Let's see if that shot any fuel out. Y'all can see it, I cannot. What we're looking at back here. Oh, it might have been draining some fuel out of there. Let me take a look at it real quick. I'm gonna say we got fuel. So really inconvenient without being able to crank the darn thing while I'm standing here by the motor, but I want to crack an injector line now. One of the lines over here, we're gonna crack crack one of those lines and go crank it over and see if fuel is coming out of one of those right there. That one, that one. So let's get that cracked. We'll get in the machine and we'll turn it over a little bit and see what happens. There's a giant puddle of diesel fuel up under the machine. So I'm going to take a wild guess and say it's got fuel, at least to that fuel pump there. We're loosening up these injector lines so it can bleed all the air out. Hopefully run after that. So let's get in the machine, crank it over a little bit and see if it'll prime up that, and then once it does, it should run. And hopefully we have some kind of hydraulic functions. Where'd I leave my screwdriver? So if we have hydraulics, we can lift the boom up and then get this cab up and see what we're working with under there, because this machine had some rather crappy repairs done to it. Come on. See what that did. Oh yeah. All three of them shooting fuel out. I couldn't get to that fourth one. Let's see about using the right wrench here. We get those tightened, it might just pop off here. I'm gonna check the oil now that I've shrunk it over a little bit. Make sure it's good. Looks like some good, clean, red diesel. That's good to see. Hopefully it doesn't have a bunch of algae growing in the tank. I don't know how long this machine has sat for, but a lot of times when diesel's sitting, they'll grow some nasty stuff in the fuel tanks. Let's check that oil. And it does have oil, a little low, but there's plenty in there. So, got those tightened right down. Put my wrenches up there. Another reason I want to get in that up under the cab is because the throttle linkage is completely froze up. So, I cannot get that freed up until I get some access to up under there. So let's crank this thing over now that we got them injector lines tightened down. Cross your fingers. Come on, buddy. Oh. Alright, it is not wanting to go. Let's see if I got any starting fluid and give it a little choke of that. See if we can't get this thing to fire up with a little bit of help. Hopefully so. I have not tested compression or anything like that. I hope to not have to do anything like that. Let's give it a little squirt, not too much. Diesels do not like a lot of that crap. Alright, take two. Uh-oh. She wanting to go. It tried to pop off. Let's give it a little bit more of that. It's just wanting to get primed up. Try not to destroy my flashlight here. Let's give it a healthier squirt of starting fluid and see what happens now. Third time's a charm. Come on, baby. Battery's getting low. Oh, this throttle is starting to free up a little bit. I think we're gonna have to get that fourth line tracked and get fuel to hit. We're gonna cut here for a minute until we get something going on so it ain't completely boring to watch. We'll be right back when it's a little bit more eventful. Alright, I got it to pop off a little bit. I got that fourth line led pretty good, so let's see. I got a little bit more fluid in it. See if I can't do that one more time. It might want to stay running. Come on, baby. I think our battery's too far dead. Oh, Lord. If we could just get this tab lifted, I could do the throttle from the... Alright, I tried to get it to crank over. I think it's just not going to do it. That line right there ended up breaking, and I don't know if it's just not got enough fuel pressure. That or the fuel pump may not be working and it's just trying to gravity feed it. But it would, you give it a little bit of ether, it would crank up and slowly die. But anyways, my excavator's on another job, so I can't really go get it right now. So I ended up very sketchily jacking it up and getting some blocks under it. I got this one just in case. It's not really holding anything. That one's really holding most of the weight. But we're gonna get the tab pulled, lifted on it, so I can actually get to it, see that fuel line, see what I need to get there. So we're gonna lift it up right here. Oh. is a interesting design to me, that you have to have the boom lifted all the way up just to be able to work on the thing, when if you're working on it, most likely you ain't gonna be able to get the boom up. But you can kind of see the fuel line there broke off. I believe that's just a return line, so it really shouldn't matter all that much. But there's a bleed screw there. There's a fuel pump down there. I might end up trying to get rid of that fuel pump, just put an electric one on it that comes on with the key. And I do need to order a new fuel line, or try to tap that fitting there and just put a hose in between them, is what I might end up doing for the time being. It does look like it's got a rubber freeze plug. I really don't want to put my arm under there right now, but looks like it's got a rubber freeze plug there, so I guess it froze with some water in it at some point. Hopefully there wasn't no extensive damage done to it, but we're gonna probably get some kind of jack up under this cab here, just so I can confidently reach under there and not feel like I'm gonna amputate my arms. So we're gonna get set up. We're gonna do a few things. We try to get rid of that fuel pump and put a electronic fuel pump in. Just get rid of any possible issues and be easier to start in the future. So we're gonna do that, and then we'll try to get it running from there. Alright, we finally got that cab lifted up. That was a journey there. I took some boards and posts and jacks and bricks and jacked that all the way up and got the safety in place. So that's holding that, and then I used my truck to pull on that strap there to lift the cab, and I've got a safety chain in place on that one. And that reveals a bunch of rigged up stuff, so we'll go over a little bit of it. One, I don't even know, there's connectors like that, wires cut off of it. There's these wires just dangling all over the place. We got cables that are loose and they go to nothing down there. And then there's where it froze, I guess, at some point and popped out freeze plugs. They just put these rubber freeze plugs in place. So I'm gonna order some actual freeze plugs for that. There's one there, and then there's one on this other side as well, right there. So we're gonna get those replaced. And then there's wires on this side that are connected to nothing. I don't know what they go to. Again, there's a cable there that's just broke, not going anything. Well, it goes down to there. Found a wire here that's broke off of a valve, solenoid valve down there. Just a lot of little stuff here that needs to be addressed and fixed, and I assume that's why they added this with some switches. And I found out that switch actually goes to the solenoid on the injection pump right there. They've got this wire ran to it over there and connected to that. So I want to get that done away with, just to where you turn the key on and it gives that power or whatever it needs to do to it. Maybe that's some of this. Maybe I can figure this stuff out. And then the mechanical fuel pump, I don't know if it's getting the right pressure or not. I could test the pressure on it and see if it's right, but really I just want to add a electronic fuel pump that comes on with the key, put it in the back somewhere where I can get to it if it ever fails, on the side here or something. Just extend the fuel lines. I don't know, I like mechanical stuff, but at the same time I just want to simplify it to stuff I know, since it's been gone through so much and rigged up a little bit. But we're gonna get this radiator out so I can replace this pulley and get the exhaust off. I want to test the compression. I'm gonna test it through the injector holes just so I can get those injectors out and make sure none of those are froze up too. So this is in the way, so we're gonna do a little time lapse getting that out, time lapse working on all this, getting those replaced, and hopefully after that we'll have this thing back together and maybe running, and then after that it'll just be replacing. I want to cut out all this metal because it's seen better days, and then cut out this and put some expanded metal there, and then the seat here all needs cut out and replaced. I have some light pods I'm going to put right there so it can have some good headlights. I want to do it up nice. It probably ain't worth it. I might even end up getting some case yellow paint and get rid of the Caterpillar sticker and get a case sticker on there. And then I'm gonna order. I keep seeing them things on TikTok, tread cutters for tires. I'm gonna order one of those and see if I can't get a little more life out of these things. These ain't terrible, but they ain't great either. And then those back there just drag slicks. So we're gonna get this stuff fixed up, and hopefully after a time lapse, the next clip will be this thing maybe running and moving around. Stay tuned for that. Alright, got the radiator out, got all the radiator fluid all over the concrete. Radiator looks pretty good, the fluid in there actually looked pretty good. This was completely broken off the top there. It ended up just sliding out. I imagine it's supposed to be bolted here or off of there. But we got that off, so that is good. The next thing I see that's going to be complicated is getting a new belt on here. We're going to have to, I don't know, unbolt, undo these two lines, I guess, and slide the belt over it. And then undo these so we can get it in between. I don't know, that's an interesting design. But also this tensioner is completely locked up and it doesn't turn either, so it's locked up both ways. So there's that. Alrighty guys, that's we're getting a little long on this video here, so we're gonna break it up in two parts here. But we got a lot of work done on the old skid steer here. We got a lot figured out. Got a lot of new parts in. We got I'm gonna block off the mechanical fuel pump with got a block off plate there. I got all new freeze plugs. We're going to get them rubber freeze plugs done away with. I have a electronic fuel pump. I have a new belt tensioner and a new belt, as well as a seat and the seat brackets. So next video, I'm taking these out as well. Going to get those cleaned up. I've got one that doesn't want to come out, so I'm going to make a video on how to get the 5.9 and 3.9, or the 12 valve and the 8 valve Cummins injectors out, but that's for another video. But we're going to get new freeze plugs in it. We're going to get those cleaned out. I've got
that is broke off, but I think it's going to be all right with 3 of them. But we got to get these 3 broke off bolts out. In the next one, we've got to get figured out that the fan pulley here, I thought it was broken just because it looked rough on top and it fell right out. But that is because 1, 2, 3 bolts are broke off, and that one will probably be added to the total there. But I've been cleaning out the belly pan here. Got a bunch of junk cleaned out of there. It's just been neglected over the past 20 years or so, however long this thing's been alive. But that'll all be for the next video. We got it somewhat running in this video, so I'm going to call that a success, but I believe that those injectors are probably stuck, or one or more of them are probably stuck, but we'll get those cleaned out, get them put back in. I've got a new line coming for that right there that broke off. That's just a return line. And then the hydraulic tank is empty, and I believe that is because that line right there goes from the tank here up to the pumps in the front. But we're gonna end this one right here with all that progress, and then y'all come back for the next video. We'll have this thing running and operating and hopefully moving a little bit of dirt around. I still want to get a tread cutter for those tires, but that'll all be for the next one, so follow along for the progress.